Okay, and we are live. Everybody, welcome. My name is Sharon Weiss-Greenberg. I'm the Executive Director of JOFA, and we have partnered with Keren for this webinar series. And today or tonight, depending on where you are tuning in from, is the final installation of our Elul Tishrei webinar series. And today we have Keren, Rabbanit Keren, and the topic is there a place for a woman in the Sukkah? Keren is the head of the Beit Midrash at Midreshet Ein HaNetziv, the first yeshiva for women in Israel. Rachel was born in Jerusalem and is married to Gedalia, and together they are parents of 3 and grandparents of 4. Rachel received her BA and MA from Hebrew University in Jewish History and an MA from Bar Ilan University in Gender Studies. She's a graduate of the Postcode Halacha program and of the Mandel program, School for Educational Leadership. Rachel is an active member of Kolach, and I'm excited to seeing you in person in Kolach on October 18th. We will be at the Kenes. So anyone who's watching, if you enjoy what you're learning or have been learning throughout the webinar series, I'll be there, you'll be there. I think 1,000 people will be there. So you should be one of those 1,000 people. You should come. But for now, I am going to pass it on to you. Thank you so much for being here today, tonight, and looking forward to learning from you.
Okay. Shalom, everybody. It's now the eve of Sukkot. And today I found on the web a question, a response written by a young woman. This is the way she wrote. How should I fulfill the mitzvah of Sukkah? I live in a place where neither a balcony nor a yard to build it exists there. What should I do? And the rabbi's response was so short. You don't have to worry. You don't have to do anything. You are a woman, and women are exempt from mitzvah Sukkah, so you have no problems. This simple yet true halachic answer astounded me. I can imagine this young woman a few days ago, standing in Tfilot Yom Kippur with her kehillah, being part of the entire shul, entire kahal, and within a day or days, she learns that she is not part of anything. In the coming holiday, few days after Yom Kippur on Sukkot, she is not counted, she is not part. Her having a problem of having a Sukkah means nothing. And their part in the community turns to be meaningless, or at least in the Sukkah, in the mitzvah, in the main mitzvah of the Chag. Sukkah is one of the examples for the commandments structured by time, mitzvot aseh she'azman grama. And this is described as the reason for the exemption for women from those mitzvot, because it depends on time. The list of these mitzvot is long. When we learn these sugiyot carefully, we find that this rule of exemption is not general. There are many exceptions. For instance, limud Torah, which is a mitzvah that is not restricted by time, is still forbidden, or for the most, it is not approved, but it is not an obligation. At least it is not an obligation contrary to man, and it has nothing to do with time. On the other hand, many mitzvot that are really connected to time, like Pesach, Matzah Onel HaSeder, and then Ner Chanukah, Kriyat Megillah, still women are obligated. There are all kinds of reasonings for this lack of consistency in this list. And as Professor Shulamit Waller suggests, it seems that the ruling and the generalization of the exemption of women from mitzvot, time-bounded, was stated after an existing reality, where women were expected to perform certain mitzvot and were excluded from performing other mitzvot. And then the rule was stated, and the rule does not fit some of the mitzvot. One of the reasons suggested in the Tosefta is parallel to the Mishnah, to the fact that women are exempt, is connected to the fact that women are obligated to eat the sacrifice of Pesach, but are not allowed to gather a amount of women to eat the sacrifice by themselves. As we all know, they had to create a group, and the group will eat the sacrifice, but never a women-only group. And the reason for it is written in the Tosefta. These kind of mitzvot are acted in public. And once mitzvot are acted in public, such a group of women might lead to misbehavior, mixture between men and women. So let them be together with the male members of that family, and that's it. They have to fulfill the mitzvah, but they can't do it by themselves. This is one of the reasonings, and this is very interesting once we are going to speak about Sukkah. The rule of the exemption of women, one of the examples of this exemption is stated explicitly in Masechet Sukkah, in Tractate Sukkah, where, as we learn, women are explicitly exempt from mitzvah of Sukkah, together with their children and with their non-Jewish slaves. But Sukkah is something really an exception from all the rest of the mitzvot. It is not a public mitzvah. It performs at home. It is the home for the week. In the Talmud language, we learn Ishto hi beito, which means that the wife is the core of the house. You cannot have a house without having the wife. So how come that the family is not united in the house for the week in the Sukkah? Furthermore, the reasoning for the obligation of women to take part in the Seder, for instance, as well as lighting the Hanukkah candles or reading Megillat Esther, is Af hen hayu boto hanes. They were also part of this miraculous event. The Torah explains that we leave our homes and go to the Sukkah in order to remember the desert time and the fact that we were guarded by Hashem during these 40 years of walking in the desert. Women were part of this miraculous event as well. On many occasions in the desert, they were those that preserved the right relationship with God, while a man once and once again sinned, first of all with the golden calf, and then with the meraglim during these 40 years in the desert. And we are told that women were always so, like the prophet Jeremiah describes the desert period. He describes this as a long honeymoon, and he uses feminine gender in the well-known pasuk, Zacharti la chesed ne'uraich, ahavat klulotayich, lechtech acharai b'midbar. Jeremiah is told, go and cry in the ears of Yerushalayim, saying, so said Kadosh Baruch Hu, I remember for the affection of your youth, the love of your espousals, how you went after me in the wilderness. Women were there, and they are the example of being there in the right way in the desert, like in Pesach. So why being exempted for this mitzvah, from this celebration? So now we have already two questions about this decision that women are exempt from the Sukkah. In the sources, we will find another three astonishing facts. The first one is Mitzvat Hakel. Mitzvat Hakel is the mitzvah of assembling the entire people, men, women, children alike, once in 7 years at the Mikdash to hear together the Torah. This is a ceremony that imitates or recreates once again the revelation of Mount Sinai, Ma'amad Har Sinai. And the pasuk say explicitly, Hakel et ha'anashim ve'et hanashim ve'et hataf, men, women, children alike. Women are not exempted. They were part of Ma'amad Har Sinai, they were part of Sinai, they are once again part of this once in 7 year assembling. And this assembly happens on Sukkot. It is not just a written word in the Torah. We have amazing descriptions of these gatherings when they really took place. At first, on the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, we are speaking about the 5th century BC. We learn that all people gathered from all Eretz Israel, gathered in Yerushalayim during the first century of the Second Temple. They were all gathered in Sukkot, heard the Torah read, and got explanations from those that knew the Torah, the teachers. The fact that women were there repeated several times in this description. Once again, 400 years later, Philo, the Jewish philosopher from Alexandria, gives us a vivid and detailed description of such an event. And we can learn about it more and more from the historian of the 1st century AD, Josephus Flavius as well. They are all describing these amazing assemblies taking place in Sukkot, all people together. Furthermore, Sukkot is a holiday where public events took place on a yearly basis every day during the days of Sukkot, without the exemptions of anyone, and not of women. This is what we are told in the same Mishnah that exempt women from the Sukkah. We are told about Simchat Bet Hosheva. We learn in the Mishnah that women were part of this fast of water and fire and dancing every Sukkot night. There was this worry of misbehavior that might result from the fact that all people are mixed together. But the solution was not banning women from taking part, not exempting from this mitzvah, and making it an only man fast. Rather, the solution was creating different spheres in the public by building different balconies for women and for men, with emphasis on the need that women would be able to watch and take part in the entire simcha, in the entire fast. Therefore, the question of expelling women from the sukkah, and this is how it was implemented in most places for real, unlike those celebrations, unlike the Seder, and unlike many more mitzvot, calls for an answer. The Mishnah states the rule: Nashim are exempt from the Sukkah as children and Gentile slave. But at the same tractate, in Masechet Sukkah, around the debate over the maximum height of the Sukkah, we are told that the maximum height is so and so, it calls 20 amas, but we are told the story. Queen Helene was, just to explain who she was from Haibar. Haibar is in Assyria, and she and her entire family, her sons, converted to Judaism. She moved to live in Yerushalayim. She was very rich, and she had contributed a lot of money to the Mikdash, and we are told many stories about her conversion and about her the things that she gave to the Midrash. And in Masechet Sukkah, we are told that she built for herself a very high sukkah, above the permitted height. And then we are told that Chachamim and their elderly came regularly to her sukkah, and none of them said anything about the fact that the sukkah is not according to the law. It is not kasher. Some excuses and explanations are given in the Gemara for this ignoring of the halacha. Nevertheless, the very fact is that such meetings took place in a woman's sukkah. She had her own sukkah, and she had conducted her meetings in it during the Chag. She lived in the sukkah during the days of Chag Sukkot. Some scholars suggest that this was the general law during the temple time. Women at that time were not exempted from any of the celebrations of Sukkot. neither those of in public, and even more so, those private at home. In the Midrash, there are echoes to many discussions over these exemptions. The pasuk in the Torah says, "Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yeshvu b'Sukkot." The translation is, "All that are homeborn in Israel shall dwell in Sukkot, in booths." The word ezrach, homeborn, is mentioned in the Torah several times. And always it is explained in the writings of Chazal as a word that is most inclusive. Men, women, children, non-Jews that are living among you, everyone is included in the word Ezrach. Now the word Ezrach serves us as the Hebrew word for a citizen. And a citizen can be anyone if he is part of the society, at least in many places. But in the explanation of Chazal to the word Ezrach, this is the example of a word that is really inclusive. But once the Midrash discussed Sukkot, there is a big dispute. Should women be excluded? It is written, Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael, all that are homeborn in Israel should sit in Sukkah. So should women be excluded? Or is it a mistake that they are excluded? And how can we understand this word Ezrach? And there are a lot of discussions around it. And before speaking about these discussions, I just want to emphasize that years and years later, after the destruction of the temple, still when it comes to Sukkot, it bothered the mind of Chachamim. How comes that the mitzvah Sukkah is one of the most known examples for exemption women from mitzvot that are time restricted? In the Bavli Sukkah, we are told that the act of sitting in the Sukkah is moving the house to the Sukkah. And then the words in Hebrew is teshvu basukot, teshvu shiv'at yamim, teshvu ke'en taduru. The explanation is the pasuk says you should sit in Sukkah for 7 days. Sit. What is the meaning of sit? Teshvu. It is like living in a home. Taduru, like in your own apartment. And and once discussing this pasuk, teshvu ke'en taduru, you will sit in the Sukkah as you are in your apartment. Then we are told that what is your apartment? What is your bayit? What is your home? Your home, once again, is your wife. Ishto hi beito. His wife is she is the core of the house. And once again, the question raises up. How come that women are exempt from the Sukkah? And this is the rule. So it doesn't go with Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael. It doesn't go with the fact that that people are asked to move to another house with the core of the house, with the heart of the house, which is the woman. And in other descriptions, which are not speaking explicitly about the rule, but describing situations in Sukkah, we are told once and once again that women are part of the Sukkah. We are told that women brought the children, they took and they were sitting there in the Sukkah, and mitzvat chinuch, educating children to sit in Sukkah, was the rule of their mothers, and they were sitting together. It seems that women for years were part of the Sukkah. And therefore, in order to justify the rule that women are exempt from Sukkah, because this is mitzvah taseh shazman krama, there are a lot of drashot, of explanations to approve solve the problem between the rule and the existing situation. But as we all know, I guess that we all know it even from our days, but from a generation before us, women were not sitting in Sukkah. This really succeeded, this rule, that women are exempted for Sukkah, women were not sitting in Sukkah. Perhaps it was cold, perhaps Sukkot were too small, perhaps all kinds of excuses, but nobody thought that they have a place in Sukkah. What happened during the years? Was it a part of a trend, ongoing trend or growing trend of exempting women from the ritual because of the destruction of the temple, the destruction of the public sphere, and the creation of new spheres like Bate Midrash and synagogues where women were not wanted, were not part of? Perhaps this was what happened during the years. Professor Judith Hauptmann suggests such a sociological gender-oriented explanation to the entire fact that of the distinction between mitzvot aseh she'azman grama and those that are not connected to time and how it was evolved. She claims that these distinctions was created in order to establish a whole criteria of mitzvot that women are exempt of, mainly those that are connected to the ritual expression of worshiping God. In this way, a new status was created for the female gender, low and below the men in the community. She said this was the goal. And the goal was to create two different levels. One levels are the males, and the men are at the head of worshiping God, taking part in the public sphere of worshiping God, while women were excluded from it in order to create another status. This is her explanation, and Sukkah is one of the examples. Professor Shulamit Waller, which wrote a whole big article over exempting the women from Sukkah, and she gave a lecture over it in one of Kolech conferences, I think about 6 years ago. She reads thoroughly all the sources that shows us, on one hand, that women had central part in the Sukkah as wives, as the heart of the home, as mother, and on the other hand, the ongoing repetition of the fact that the rule is that women are exempt of Sukkah. And she suggests that the main reason of this transformation is the overall persecution against Jews while observing the mitzvot at the 2nd and the 3rd century, mainly in Eretz Israel, at the time when the Mishnah was written. And she says that this was a way to protect women, because it was really acting out with a sukkah, being out there, was like a finger in the eye of the first of all the Romans and the Christian Romans, and therefore she said that women were exempt because of the historical situation, unlike Professor Hauptmann that speaks about a gender-oriented explanation for the fact. I guess that it is a mixture of both and even more. Chag Sukkot was not anymore a celebration of the public, the joyful of gathering people. It was not anymore no mitzvah sheva, nothing of a kel. The mitzvah itself changed from the public to the individual. At this point, it fell under the same general rule of exempting women from rituals, from individual rituals, of asking them to do less. So where do we stand now? We can renew the past. I think that we can renew the past. Thank God we are not persecuted for observing the mitzvot. Thank God women are including themselves, and sometimes even with the permission of the community, but they're including themselves once again in observing the mitzvot, both in the individual level and in the public sphere. So let us follow the steps of Queen Helene. Let us invite our friend, family to celebrate the freedom and the miraculous existence of our nation in the desert and in all the years afterwards, with all the changes in history. Let us celebrate it in the Sukkah. Sukkah is the expression of all this, of being Ben Chorin, of the existence of Am Yisrael. Sukkot, as we all know from the Torah, is the joyful Chag. So let us learn Torah in the Sukkah. Let us recreate the public Simcha of Chag Sukkot. Let us be there, all of us together in Sukkot, men and women alike. Chag Sameach and all the best.
Thank you so much. A lot of that was information that I had never learned about, so I will definitely be sharing that from my Sukkah, which I hope everyone finds their space in their respective Sukkot and invite people in. And I hope you include people of all genders. You have a Sukkot poster that Jofa made over there, but now make sure that men and women, scholars and Gedolei Hador are in your Sukkah and that you're learning and enjoying. I want to thank you, Rachel Keren, for this enriching.
I can suggest that one of those Shpizin will be Queen Helene.
I love that. I love it.
So invite her to your Sukkot.
Done.
Okay.
I want to thank you so much. Chag Sameach. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you didn't know about this and you just found out because your friend shared it on Facebook, like us on Facebook, sign up for our listserv, like us on Twitter. Our handle is @jofa.org. To learn more about the Kolach conference, visit their website. Hope to see you there. For everyone, wherever you are, wishing you a Chag Sameach. Thank you so much, and thank you, Rachel, again.
Bye.
Bye.